Hi, and welcome to Just Breathe. This is our Monday practice, and really it's meant not just for today, but to set the tone and maybe revisit this practice all week long, every day, until I see you again for next week's, once again, reinstallation for a new Just Breathe practice. Today, I'm not only taking inspiration from James Nestor's book on called Breath, right, that we're reading for our yoga book club here at Life's Work Yoga. I also want to kind of integrate some of his thoughts and celebrate a new beginning here at Life's Work Yoga. And that is something that has been a long time dream of mine in terms of decor and environmental welcoming feel. And that is this beautiful addition of just a little bit of outside coming in, a fresh floral arrangement that just newly agreed with one of our local businesses to beautify our studio space with fresh flowers each week. So in celebration of spring, in celebration of breath, let's just breathe and start this practice with a little reflection. So let's just breathe. And we're going to start this practice with just a bit of reflection from James Nestor's book. So find yourself a comfortable seat, check in for some spinal support, and just consider for a moment what your relationship with breath is. In the text that James Nestor writes, he is a journalist as well as an exploratory breather, we'll call him. He says that 40% of today's population suffers from chronic nasal obstruction, and around half of us are habitual mouth breathers. They say that simply training yourself to breathe through your nose can cut total exertion in half and offer huge gains in our endurance for daily living. Lastly, then, I just wanted to read this consequence of mouth breathing. Mouth breathing, it turns out, changes the physical body and transforms airways, all for the worse. Inhaling air through the mouth decreases pressure, which causes the soft tissues in the back of the mouth to become loose and flex inward, creating less space and making breathing more difficult. Mouth breathing begets more mouth breathing. Inhaling from the nose has the opposite effect. It forces air against all those flabby tissues in the back of the throat, making the airways wider and breathing easier. After a while, these tissues and muscles get toned to stay in this opened and wide position. Nasal breathing begets more nasal breathing. So, I don't know about you, but I still have quite a bit of challenge with spring allergies. And so that is when my breathing through the nose becomes more difficult. And yet, as I said, bringing in a little outside in is a small price to pay. Hence, all the more reason why I want to practice breathing in and out through my nose. So one of the techniques that James actually endures is putting a piece of tape over his mouth, and he explores a variety of different ways. What I want to do is I'm just going to lay my finger over my lips and focus on breathing through your nose. And this will be the first portion of our breathing practice today. So for about 5 minutes, we're just going to breathe through the nose with a gentle pressure of the finger on the mouth. And all I want you to notice is each time, if perhaps you have to sneak a breath in through your mouth, not for judgment, just for observation. And if at any point it's too much, then just breathe through your mouth, right? Stay here in this breathing with the gentle pressure of the finger on your mouth. And if you're able to breathe through your nose exclusively, maybe you're able to dive deeper into knowing or recognizing if it's more in the right side or the left side. It's not atypical. In fact, it's absolutely normal for one nostril to be a little more open than the other. And this changes throughout the day. They say anywhere between 7 and 30 minutes throughout the day, our dominant open nostril will shift. So just notice as you're breathing in and breathing out. And if at any point you needed to breathe through your mouth, then begin again. Begin again by grounding, by welcoming in the breath, and maybe choosing whether or not you lay the finger back on the mouth or just concentrate as much as you can on breathing in some air through the nose as it's allowed. If air doesn't come in through the nose, that's okay too. Visualize it, imagine it coming in through the nose, and that can be kind of the precursor to breathing again through the nose. Now, the reason we breathe through the nose is not just for the reasons I read. It's also how the biology of the body works to moisturize and warm each breath as it comes into the lungs and then enters into the bloodstream through the capillaries of the lungs. That preparation work allows the body to absorb the oxygen more easily. And we can facilitate even more relationship with that flow of oxygen coming into the body by bringing attention into what we call in yoga the dirgha, the dirgha breath, or the 3-part breath. In other words, it's still coming in through the nose, but I want you to imagine filling up your belly like a pitcher of water is being filled from the bottom and it rises up. So the belly and then the ribs and then the chest can rise a little bit or not at all, but that's the 3 parts in. And then the exhale, emptying it all out as if a straw is siphoning up from the bottom, and we empty out that breath. So inhale through the nose, fill the belly, expand the ribs, inflate the chest. Deflate the chest, deflate the ribs, deflate the belly. And if you don't have that dexterity of control and distinction on the exhale, that's okay. Just breathe in and breathe out. This dirgha breath is not meant to be your everyday, all day breath. It's a practice breath. to help us, again, tap deeper into the musculoskeletal system. Can you feel the relaxing muscles of the belly and even of the ribs as you take that breath in? In order to expand, those muscles need to soften to allow for the expansion. The diaphragm does the heavy lifting of creating that vacuum to draw in the breath. And then on the exhale, the diaphragm relaxes. And for some of you, you might start to feel the muscles of the abdominal core, the muscles between the ribs, as well as the transverse and the oblique muscles, draw in to help evacuate that breath. Anatomically, breathing through our nose and deep into our lungs is not only an efficient breath, it's more of an effective breath. But any breathing is better than no breathing when it comes to living, right? So if that means you have to take a breath through the mouth, take a breath through the mouth. If that means your breath can't find the 3 distinctions of dirgha, that's okay. We begin where we are and we practice what we can pay attention to, all the while strengthening the muscles of our attention by looking for nuance, seeking out deeper understanding of just being with what is. So as we conclude this practice, let's take 5 more rounds with as much attention as you can, just to notice how the breath moves through you. This might mean just breathing in and out. This might mean the dirgha, or it might even mean layering on a little more effort of that pelvic floor, of that ujjayi throat, if you choose. So 10 breaths. Last one. Soften that effort. Take just a few calming, neutral breaths. Notice the effects of your practice. Your hands come to rest together. And in gratitude for this breath, for this practice, and the opportunity to begin again with every paying attention, may you breathe deeply and move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. Thanks for being here. Namaste.